Welcome to USB Hole, the podcast where we talk out of our asses. I'm Chill.
I'm the child.
And today we are doing an episode on fan boundaries. So, boundaries against like celebrities and fandoms, how fans act around these type of things, so on and so forth.
Yeah. So we're gonna touch base on like parasocial relationships, which is a one-sided relationship where a person extends like emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party or persona has absolutely no idea that the other person exists. Parasocial relationships are common with celebrities, organizations like sports teams, sports players, musicians, television stars. Any of these fall into that realm. So aside from parasocial relationships, we're just going to be talking and touching base on the way that people interact with all of those different types of people, the way we interact, what we feel is and is not appropriate from our viewpoint, and kind of like some things that really skeeve us out. I don't know if that's an appropriate term. When we see other people interact with celebrities in such a way.
There might be a specific fandom that we refer to a lot, but that's not specifically what we are talking about. We don't want to point out any one thing. We're just going to talk about what we have seen, what we think about, and it may relate to certain fandoms, but we're not specifically calling those ones out as a problem. We're just using them as examples.
Right. And so like I said, I mean, this, you may definitely feel some offense taken from this. It's may not be directed at you, whether you're a regular listener or you're hearing this by someone sharing it. So if you're taking offense, I mean, sorry, not sorry is how they say, right? Like,
you're probably the problem.
yeah, if you're being inappropriate, then hopefully this will give you a second to take a step back and look at yourself and think about ways that you can better interact with other people, because at the end of the day, celebrities are just people and you should treat them with the same respect that you would want people treating you and your loved ones with.
It's not too late to turn yourself around.
Yeah. But don't go on the internet and tell people you're turning yourself around, because it's not the same thing.
No.
Yeah, so getting real with fans and boundaries. Let's go. So last week, Sarah shared a story about an interaction that she had, and we asked for listener feedback, and we did get some. Sarah received some online, and we actually had a call-in listener. So we have Stephanie on the line. We're going to touch base with her. So we have one of our listeners on the line here. This is Stephanie. She is a longtime listener of the podcast, and she has called in with some feedback on Sarah's story from the last episode. And she's going to just touch base on her feelings about how she feels Sarah handled the situation. And we have not heard this feedback yet. So this is a live feedback. So if you want to go ahead and talk, try and talk loudly so that we could hear you, and you don't have to worry about editing your language.
Cool. So I thought it was really neat that Sarah had a very impromptu run-in with all of the same people from MythicCon that she was so excited about meeting. And I think it's amazing the way Jessie was just like, oh, that's so awesome that you came. However, I want to kind of talk about the fact of everybody else that was there. Like Link and his wife, and of course Rhett was there supporting his wife. But the reality is, famous people don't care about fans as long as they're not crazy interacting with them, as much as we all worry that they do. Like, we're all afraid of doing something inappropriate or making them feel uncomfortable. But realistically, they're just humans like the rest of us. And as long as we use respect and normal people boundaries, I really think most famous people are okay with that and having an interaction instead of being like, ooh, I have to ignore them.
All right, I like that feedback. So to touch more on that, I think that kind of leads into where Sarah was feeling a little self-conscious. Like, did she feel like she was being inappropriate? So do you kind of feel like she handled herself well, or like there's some things that she could have done differently?
I think that she handled herself pretty well, with the exception of, I think she could have been like, oh, hey guys, nice to see you again, instead of feeling so self-conscious about it.
Do you have anything to say about that, Sarah?
I think I know she can't hear me, so this is going to be a little difficult, but
Yeah.
I think the reason I felt so self-conscious about them specifically is because they have talked about fan interactions on Ear Biscuits a ton. And I don't know if something they've said, or I know sometimes like when they're out doing eating or doing family things, like they don't want to be bothered, and they have said that in Ear Biscuits. And I did say hi to Rhett when he said hi to me at the beginning.
Right. But I feel like you said, I mean, I don't think it would necessarily be bothering them because you didn't approach them. Like, it's not like they were sitting out at a restaurant or they were at the grocery
Right.
store and you approached them. So I do think that's a little bit differently, but I definitely see where you're coming from based on the way that they have mentioned being approached when they're with their families and things like that, like through listening to Ear Biscuits and other
I just felt it
situations.
was unnecessary to approach them, you know, like why?
Okay.
I didn't need to.
Yeah, I think you handled it well. And Stephanie, I know you can't hear Sarah, but you are a listener, so you'll hear her feedback along with what I'm saying now. But
Right.
do you have any other comments that you want to share with our listeners about fans and boundaries and any fandoms? We're not talking specifically about the one that she just happened to run into people of. We're talking about anything, even be concerts, people on the streets, paparazzi, like any of that type of stuff.
Celebrities at all, whatever.
Celebrities at all, Sarah says.
In general, I feel like celebrities, especially those that are involved in a bigger fandom, like your mythical whole society thing, it all kind of goes back to the whole thing of everybody's still a human. Some people, like when they're with their family eating, that's inappropriate. They're with their family, like walking around at an event, that might be okay to be like, oh, hey, how are you? Like you would to anybody else that you casually ran into at an event. Kind of ignoring them is something that I found that sometimes you'll hear later that a celebrity or somebody that's an integral part of a fandom and running it might be like, oh, I felt like I was really ignored because people were afraid of talking to me or feeling like they might have bothered them. Yeah, for the most part, they're actually usually really cool people. Like I know you guys know about Rhett and Link. I think sometimes we all just kind of get too caught up in the fact of their celebrity, and some of us skew towards the side of caution and being too standoffish. And then you have the people on the other side who entirely go overboard and are completely unacceptable humans.
You're getting a little chuckle smile from Sarah, like it seems like she's agreeing with you.
Cool.
Do you have anything to respond to that, Sarah?
No, I agree. I think like no disrespect to Link, but I don't think he gives a shit if I came up and said hi to him or not. Honestly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of felt like maybe, and this was probably all in my head, but I kind of felt like they thought I was quote unquote stalking them because we had just seen them 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
It would be a completely different story if we weren't just at Mythicon. I feel like I would have felt better about maybe even going saying hi to them or whatever.
I think that's a feeling that you had though. I honestly don't feel like that's something that crossed their mind.
I just don't think they cared. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I
it's
don't
just
think
all
it
going to
was
be in my head, and I
thing.
don't think they cared whether I said hi or not, or if I was there. I just
Right.
don't like that we had literally just seen them, and I felt kind of stalky because I didn't know they were going to be there, especially like
Right.
Link, like I said,
Yeah.
but no big deal, I guess.
Yeah. All right, well, Stephanie, thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate your feedback, and
Thank you,
we hope to hear
Stephanie.
from you again.
Cool, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I mean, I get what she's saying. I think there were just a lot of other factors in my head that were kind of tweaking me out about it, just because, like I said, it looked like he could have been mad that I was there, and it looked like I could have been stalking them. It looked like all of these things that are in my head. And I would say they probably neither of them cared or thought about me at all, which I
Yeah,
would hope for, but you
I think
never
that's
know
more
with
of the
them.
case. And that's more of like you just want to be respectful of other people. And so you
Yeah.
just feel that self-consciousness. But I think at the end of the day, they weren't like, oh, this person is like following me around. I think it'd be totally different if you just like showed up there and they were there, but there wasn't an event going on, perhaps. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
I just
saying?
don't want to be labeled as a creep, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that's the case at all, at least in my opinion. And obviously, I don't make the rules on what is and isn't appropriate, but I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
And every person is going to feel different about what they think is and isn't appropriate, whether they're a celebrity or not. So we'll never know for sure, but I could read off. I got one more comment about this from one of our listeners. I could read it off now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He pretty much agreed with what Stephanie was saying. He said, I think you were fine. I think it was 90% in your head. Could they have recognized you? Possibly. Were you putting attention on them? Sounds like no. Did you run up asking for photos and things? No. It sounds like most people, they're not in front of a camera, they're not in character, and they are just as awkward as any other person, mixed with your own feelings about it. And I think that's what you got.
I
I
like
think
that.
that's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I definitely agree with that. Like we did mention about how somebody else took a photo at that event and you didn't. And, I don't know. Like I said, each person has their own boundaries. So they might not mind if people ask for photos when they're out in
Right.
public. It's just for us, the way we feel, it's not a setting for doing that. Maybe taking a photo like with Jessie because it was her event, like something with her and like something that she designed at the facility that
Yeah.
maybe would have been appropriate because it was related to her and her event. But other than that, in my opinion, I don't think that the photos and whatnot would be appropriate. But it depends on those people's boundaries. But I, like both of the listeners said, I think that you approached it in a decent way and you were respectful and you attended the event in a respectful way.
Yeah. Like if I saw them out and about, maybe like, oh, they're headed to a movie or something, they're not in a rush, like, then maybe I would stop and be like, hey, how's it going? Maybe ask for a photo, but an event for somebody else where the main focus was not them, I just didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, and I think
Because you
that,
don't want to bring attention
yeah,
to people who have nothing to do with what's going on.
right. So as a follow-up to that, again, we love getting your guys' feedback, whether it be on Twitter at Chill and Child, anywhere else, hit us up. We love the feedback. Not it doesn't even have to specifically be episode orientated. It could be anything, and we could touch base on it in
What's
our
orientated?
episodes. Oriented, yeah, sorry. I
Just
don't
making
know.
up new words over here.
Yeah, send me new words and I will learn
Yeah.
them.
DM me stuff. I don't even care. I don't know if you can DM me. I might have like not allowed that, but I don't care. Try.
I'm pretty sure you can DM Chill and Child.
Yeah, I was talking about my personals.
Oh,
I
you
don't
can
pay attention
DM
to any other
USB
social
Hold the
media.
Child.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
might
my
not
new
get
name?
to it for a while, but
Yeah.
oh, that's you.
Yeah,
I forgot about
USB
your
Hold
new
the
name.
Child. Yeah. Because I can't spell or talk.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you have some stories about different situations that you want to touch base on, or should I just go off like some different topics that like I feel people have issues with that I see in the
Yeah,
general
we could
scope of the
do
world?
topics, and then if we have stories, we can always interject those in.
Okay. So like a huge thing that I see people doing in all scopes of the world is basing a fan basing their life on the beliefs of a celebrity. You see this all the time. I mean, not to get too political, but Donald Trump started as a celebrity before becoming the president. And so like right there in the public eye, And there's so many people who align their views with him because he was a celebrity before he was the president. And like I said, I'm not going to touch any more on that topic, just showing like people base their views on that regardless of how they felt politically, just because they already liked him as a celebrity. So you see it with things like that, TV stars, musicians, just, oh, this person wore this outfit, so now I'm going to wear that outfit, or this person's a vegan, now I'm going to be a vegan, just things like that. And I just feel like sometimes it's a step too far.
Yeah, it's one thing if somebody opened your eyes maybe to like veganism and you never really looked into it that much before, but one of your favorite celebrities, like I know Jenna Marbles is a vegan. If you used to follow her, some people actually became vegan because of her, but it was because she talked about like the morality of it. She talked about the health factors of it, but she did so without being accusatory and without trying to convince people to change to it. That was just her lifestyle.
And
so
she
other
didn't-
people saw that and they were like, well, I want to be a respectful vegan like Jenna because I align my morals with her, because we had the same morals even before I knew that.
And she didn't use it as a trend. Now, I just use that as an example.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that good or bad either way. I'm just
Right.
saying, you see some people are using things like that, and then they'll take it and they'll turn it into a trend, and then their
Right.
followers or their fan bases will jump on board those trends and not do it for the right reasons.
Yeah. She would just answer questions that people had already.
Yeah.
So it was just more of a bringing to light things that people were already curious about. And people who followed that, I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of people who became vegan just because they were fans of her, but a lot of people were initially curious and she convinced them.
Okay.
So I
I'm not
think if
aware
you
of that.
do something
Yeah.
like that, like if you're taking one stance of a celebrity because they helped you through it, that's one thing. But when, like you're saying, you revolve your whole life to be their identity and kind of just copying everything they do, that's creepy.
Yeah, I mean, if a public figure puts out their views on things and your views and your morals align with theirs, and that was already that way, and you just happen to feel the same, and then you can say, I believe in this just like so and so. But I don't feel it's appropriate for you to say, I believe in this because so and so believes in this. And I do see that a lot, like on the internet, and obviously different places on the internet can be kind of toxic, but you see
You
stuff
don't
like
say.
that. And I don't know, sometimes like I feel like they're putting it, again, this is our opinions, again, we're talking out our assholes here, we're not professionals, but I just feel like, especially when they're young minds that are easily molded and manipulated, I just think that's something that people need to be cautious of when they're making their decisions and basing their lives on somebody else's views that maybe were not originally their own.
Yeah. And also influencers, they're literally called influencers. Maybe be careful what you're putting out there too, because there are some very toxic companies out there that will give you a bunch of money to advertise for them, and just do your research.
Right.
Not gonna call anyone out, but some
Yeah.
people have promoted some pretty nasty things.
Oh. Another thing that I was thinking about was like expectations for people that you look up to, again, in the public eye, public figures, whether they be celebrities, musicians, sports, like whomever they may be, like your expectations that you're putting on them to share their opinions on political stances. So I personally don't feel that just because somebody is in the public eye, they should have to take a stance publicly on how they feel about certain political stances or moral rights or human rights things. Like, it's, unless it's your job to have a stance on that, I don't feel like you should expect somebody that you see in a public eye to constantly have to be out there making it publicly known how they feel about different topics, and like the sides that they weigh on, and out there social justice saying Johnson, oh my god, so I can't fucking talk.
Social.
Social justicing. It's not really a verb, but I'm gonna make it one. For things, whether you do or don't align with those views, I don't think it's appropriate for you to be expecting them to constantly be shoving it down their fans' throats. Because at the end of the day, they're a person and they are entitled to their beliefs, and they shouldn't have to push it down your throat to get everyone else to agree with you or them. That's my
And just
opinion on it.
because they don't put something on social media does not mean that they don't care or don't believe in that thing. Um, People just want to be a little bit private. Like, can they have some
Yeah.
privacy? And
Yeah.
that also doesn't mean they're not doing other things behind the scenes that you cannot see. You don't know if they're donating. You don't know if they're rallying. You don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So there's
You
no
don't need to.
reason to judge and attack just because they're not doing the one specific thing you want them to do.
Yeah. And basing your whole life on whether or not they made a political stance or spoke up or sent a tweet, as if tweeting is the end all be all of
Yeah.
human rights campaigns. For me personally, I feel like it's none of your business.
And some
you have
people
no
don't
right to be
use
upset.
social media. Like, just because someone's famous doesn't mean they use social media. And
Yeah.
half the people who are famous that are using social media, it's not even them. It's
Yeah.
a PR person.
Yeah. I would suggest from a human standpoint, pay attention to what those people are doing, not what those people are saying.
Yeah.
If you're so invested in knowing the lifestyle that they're living, and if they align with your views, or you know what you feel that they need to be doing, again, that's another person. So just think about, you're walking down the street, and are you going to say, hey, stranger on the bus, like, do you have this political stance? You should feel the way I feel. And are you going to sit and have that conversation, or expect them to speak publicly the way that you want them to? More than likely, you're not. So if you think about it, you don't actually know these people. So, they can have their stances and their opinions.
You're putting them on a
Yeah.
pedestal, and that makes it
Yeah.
awkward for everyone because, like we've said, they're just people. And
Yeah.
they don't think of themselves the way you do. They just live their lives and they're just people. So putting a very high expectation on someone is how people get burnt out. And then what are you going to do? You don't have your fandom anymore when
Yeah.
the person that you're trying to be like or saying all these things about now all of a sudden doesn't want to do what they do anymore because they're so burnt out from it.
Yeah. And by all means, if you say you're a huge fan of celebrity XYZ, and then come to find out they have vastly different moral views than you do, and they're putting it out into the universe that they're against these moral views that you have, by all means, stop being a fan of theirs. But don't expect them to be doing something that's not right for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day. Don't buy their things anymore. Don't watch their movies. Don't go to their sporting events. Stop supporting them in a public way. And that's the difference that you're going to make when it comes down to it. You can't just say, hey, you need to have the same views as me. We would love if everyone had the same views as us, but that's just not how it is.
And one person on Twitter isn't going to change their mind.
Exactly.
So money talks.
Yep.
Especially with big corporations. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Nestle, and for good reason. And people have stopped buying Nestle products, and it's extremely hard to do. There are so many Nestle products out there, and to just be a little bit vigilant. And I'm not saying to do it because it's your money and your morals, you do whatever you want, but personally I try to avoid Nestle as much as possible, and it's just so hard. But money does talk. And if you don't feel like you can support someone, or you don't feel like they, like you said, morals line up with yours, stop buying their stuff.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to tell them that you don't like what they're doing.
Yeah. Which then I think kind of rolls over into our next topic, which would be like appropriate times and situations for tagging celebrities in social media. So if like you just said, if it doesn't line up with their views and they don't like what they have to say, I don't think it's appropriate to just be like, hey, fuck you, Nestle. You can say, this is how I feel about Nestle, but you don't need to be tagging. I'm using Nestle because you just said this. I'm
Yeah.
not saying fuck you, Nestle. I'm not necessarily putting a stance out there because I'm not 100% aware of what you're referring to, and I don't want to be making incorrect assessments without
Which you
hearing what you're
shouldn't.
talking about. So, which the listeners also shouldn't. But for any, again, XYZ celebrity, I don't necessarily agree with the political and human rights stances of certain people who I used to consider myself a fan of. And then within the past year, a lot of things have come to light. I'm not going on there and saying, hey, so and so, let me tag you. I don't think that it's right that you're doing this, because they're a person. It's not a corporation, it's an individual person. It's a little bit different, I feel like. If you're tagging a corporation's social media account and saying how you feel on their stance, that's one thing. Tagging an individual person who just works for a corporation who maybe isn't making those decisions, not appropriate. Tagging an employee of a company when you're upset with the company, not appropriate.
Well, if it's a CEO,
Are
like
they the
Elon
person?
Musk.
Well, so I think that would be slightly different, because if that person is making the decisions, then you can say that you don't like agree with your decisions, but at the same time treat it as in that stance, not in a personal way. Like Elon Musk has a child. Are you out there saying, fuck you, Elon Musk's child? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where some people will do that, and that's
like
not
death threats
appropriate.
and all that shit. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, some of that's illegal. Like, just don't
Right.
do that.
Yeah, that's crossing way too many boundaries into it. But recently, last year around Christmas time, there was a situation where a person was upset because they had ordered a product and the product shipped late. So they were upset with the company, but rather than reaching out to the company or even tagging the company on social media, they were contacting an employee of the company directly on social media, just being rude and nasty and saying just horrible things to that employee. And that's not okay. That's not
Yeah.
the employee's fault. That would be like, so say you go into Publix, which Publix is a fantastic grocery store for shopping in. I don't necessarily agree with their political views, so put that out there. Again,
Not a
that's how
sponsor.
it works. So say you go into the grocery store and you're upset because the grocery store doesn't carry the brand of milk that you like to purchase. You can't go up to the person who stocks the shelves at the grocery store and cuss them out because they don't carry the milk that you want. That
But
has
you know
nothing
people
to do with
do.
that person. That's not appropriate. So it's the same thing as if you were to go onto social media and tag that person stocking the shelves and say, hey, fuck you, you should have this milk that I want. That person has nothing to do with that. So you need to learn where to draw the line between what's appropriate and what's not when it comes to like where you can reach out in those aspects.
And even if it was the employee's fault, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Like, there's no reason to attack someone personally. There's no reason to swear at them or call them nasty names, regardless of who you're talking to. If you just ask, hey, like with the shipping thing, hey, do you know when my order's coming in? If you don't like the answer, tell them,
reach out to customer support.
Yeah. Or
get
if
off their
they
personal socials.
But if they allow it on the personal socials, or if you're talking, even if you're just talking to the company, say, I'm not happy with the service and I want a discussion, I want a refund. But you don't need to attack anybody or anything. Like,
No, never.
I just don't understand why people have to personally attack people. It's like, did you never learn how to talk, how to have a civil conversation with someone, and how to get your way without swearing or being nasty? I don't get it.
Yeah. And like, for example, one time I had a Keurig coffee machine. This was like years ago when they were new, and then they had just come out with the second version of it. And I had coffee pods that said Keurig on the coffee pods, but I got the second version. Well, when I tried to use it, the screen came up and it said use a Keurig coffee pod. So I take a picture
That
of the
shit made
Keurig
me
coffee
so mad.
pod and I tweeted it and I was like, hey Keurig, what is going on? I'm pretty sure this coffee pod says Keurig. So then Keurig responds and they're like, hey, yeah, sorry, the new machines don't read the old pods. You know, reach out to customer support and we're happy to replace them with new pods. But I wasn't like, Keurig, you fucking suck. Why are you making me get new pods? I've said the F word a lot of times today. I'm sorry. I'm amped up. Just coming back from a long vacation again. It was not long. It was a short vacation and a long drive.
Like 3 days.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm like, I tagged the corporation with my concern and then it was addressed. And then another time I was at a Publix again, because Publix. I was at a Publix and I saw a package of chicken in like the deli area that said unbreaded, I think it was unbreaded wings or unbreaded chicken or whatever. But you can see through the package and the hot deli, you know, where like they make the fresh chicken and they has the little window, that it was breaded. So I took a picture of it and I tagged Publix, but I put something funny along with it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure there's bread there or something like that. And Publix responded and they're like, what store was that at? And I responded back and I was like, I ain't no snitch. Like I made it
ain't
into
a narc.
yeah, but I was like, you know, I made it into a joke. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, they put this in the wrong box, blah blah blah, which, you know, some people
just
do.
like getting mad about nothing.
I feel like it went off on a tangent because I just read that I don't think that has anything to do with fans, but that's definitely with boundaries. But anyway,
just be like nice to people, man.
Yeah. So and then like when it comes to tagging, also like I know Twitter kind of moved away from hashtags, but it still reads the same without the hashtag when you're posting something. So you can post something and not have to tag that celebrity or sports star or whatever in everything you post. Just like on Instagram, you don't have to tag the individual people on everything you post. Like you're posting, you know, like fan clips and fan edits, or, you know, maybe a little snippet of a movie that you really liked. You don't tag the actors in all the snippets of the movies. Like you could tag the movie or like hashtag the name of the movie, but like, would you want to get a tag every 10 seconds because someone's just posting random stuff that doesn't actually like relate to your life and you're just tagging them on their like people are just tagging you on your personal accounts?
FYI to everyone out there, these celebrities 100% do not have their notifications on.
Yeah, but like they're not
getting a
phone.
notification every 10 seconds.
But I'm like, it's in a.
But no, you don't have to do it. Yeah. Like there's no reason. There are so many ways
to do it. Like you just post somewhere, oh, I woke up this morning and I watched, I had McDonald's. Let me tag Ronald McDonald because he's like an employee at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to use it. I'm trying to be vague. I'm not trying to attack any specific fandoms or celebrities or anything like that. But like it's constant.
But on that note, even if you don't tag someone, they can still find your tweets or posts or whatever in some kind of way if it's relating to them or their company. So maybe don't post weird shit if you don't want them to see it.
Yeah. And also if it's inappropriate or you wouldn't want their families to see it, just like if it was maybe your friend and you wouldn't want your friend's family to see it, you know, think about those things and like what's appropriate, because just because somebody is a public figure doesn't mean it's okay to like put inappropriate stuff about them out there.
I guarantee you their children see those things.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
And finding the line between a person or an actor and their character. And, you know, like if you're going to put on there something about saying, we'll just go with Bob's Burgers because we made that comment about how in that one episode about, I don't remember which episode it was, and you had to pick which character.
Oh, that you wanted Bob.
Yeah, that you would bang. And I was like, Bob Belcher from Bob Burgers. So if I posted something about, Bob Belcher is so hot, I would love to bang him or something like that, that would be referring to a character, but it would be inappropriate for me to tag the person who voices that character and say I wanted to like that's inappropriate because my comment is about a character, not about the actor playing the character. And I feel like fans don't know where to draw the line between reality and fantasy. And I see that all over the internet.
All over.
And I feel like, I mean, yes, that's one of the downsides of the internet being the internet and giving you full access to everything. But it's just one of those things, like, take a look. Like, if you are finding yourself doing these things, you know, take a look and see, like, maybe I shouldn't be doing these things. And if you feel like we're wrong on any of these topics, give us some feedback and tell us why you feel we're wrong and why you feel that what you're doing is acceptable, because I'd love to hear both sides of the story here, because this is just, you know, our opinions on this. Oh, there was another thing that I wanted to touch base on.
I have a good one.
I can't remember. Okay.
There's people who will like ask for a picture if a celebrity is out with their family and maybe that celebrity says not right now, I'm sorry. And then people will go online and bitch about how that person is rude. Okay, so I read a Reddit post earlier actually that the security guard for this celebrity told someone that they couldn't have a picture, not even the celebrity themselves, which one I think is a great idea if you're a celeb to have security at certain places, because they can be the bad guy for you. You don't have to be the bad guy, but this lady still thought the celeb was the bad guy, even though the celeb didn't talk to them at all. But these people are not, you are not owed their time. You are not owed their presence. You are not owed a picture just because you quote unquote pay their bills by purchasing their merch or supporting them in some way. They don't owe you anything. Not a single fucking thing other than what you pay for.
Yeah.
And you do not pay for their time outside of their job. And if you say, oh, it just takes 2 seconds for a picture. Okay, well, what about the 100 people who just saw you take a picture with them and now want a picture? Right. That's not 2 seconds anymore.
Yeah, and that's their time, that especially if they're with their family, you're taking away from their time with their family.
It was her daughter's birthday party.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're not at a concert with backstage passes for a meet and greet. Then yeah, by all means, go see your favorite singer and get a photo and get their autograph. But then you're entitled to it because you purchased a meet and greet or like photo session at a concert, or you went to a sporting event and you bought an extra ticket to get to meet the players or something. That's the only time you're entitled to it, is when you purchase something telling you you're entitled to it. Other than that, just out on the streets, you're not entitled even to a look as a passerby.
And in certain situations, I would have no problem with people going up and asking for a picture, or don't be a creep and just start taking pictures or trying to take selfies. That's creepy. But go up and ask. And if they say no, take it. Just take it and walk away. Because you're not entitled to fight with them or to go bash them online about it. If they don't have time, or if they're with their family, or for any reason, they don't have to have a reason. If they just don't feel like it that day, walk away. Say thank you and walk away.
Again, because at the end of the day, these are just people who deserve the same respect that you would expect to have, or you and your friends are out, or somebody walks up to your friend and wants to take a photo and they are not comfortable taking a photo, and they have every right to say no.
Imagine 100 people came up to you every single time you left your house. How exhausting. And yet most of these celebrities still find the time to be pleasant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
It's just not appropriate. And like you said, with like sneaking photos and like that kind of stuff, it's wrong. And in my opinion, like, I don't want somebody creepily like secretly taking a photo of me while I'm out in public. Like that would make me feel uneasy. And these people are just trying to be out there living their lives as people. And like, sure, you want to post a funny thing or something related to that person, like say, or like, for example, I like normally when I do tweets and stuff, even if I'm posting something related to like a show, or like obviously we're in like the mythical fandom, so like I don't really tag or link or like the individual people and things unless it's relevant. I'll tag like the mythical, like the business account, or like when we saw like the Raising Cane's thing, and I tagged Jordan because it was relevant to Raising Cane's and Jordan and their dog. Or like I was listening to my Pandora Premium the other day, and I had it on Jason Isbell radio, and fucking James and the Shame came on Jason Isbell radio, and I was like, just from hearing Rhett tell stories on Ear Biscuits about, being a fan of Jason Isbell, like the fact that, and then also, I guess he had mentioned in an Ear Biscuits recently too, that like the stuff that was coming up for like similar listeners on like Spotify were all these weird internet things. So the fact that like he came up on Jason Isbell radio, I was like, I'm gonna tag him in this because I just felt like that was something that I'm like, that just made me, like, as a fan of his, made me smile to think that like, hey, like you made it onto the same radio, quote unquote, radio station as like one of your favorite artists. I'm like, that's a big deal. So, and he liked the tweet, and I was like, that's cool, because that means that he saw that he showed on that same thing. But I wasn't like going on and on and on and on. It's like one simple thing, like whatever, moved on. But I see so many people just like constantly tagging celebrities in like every single post that they put on the internet all over the place. And I just like, I don't know, it makes me uneasy. So I feel like it's the same thing as like you tagging me and everything. And like, I'm not a celebrity, but I still feel like it would be weird if people did that to me.
Yeah, I could see it being obnoxious. It's like, I'll tag them and stuff where I think they would think it's funny, or like if it had to do with them, like I tagged Link when I said that I felt stupid for what I said with him in the meet and greet, and he liked it. And then I didn't tag him in that tweet about his dad. I didn't tag anybody, and he still found it. So it's like they're looking up stuff that they want to look up. Yeah. So then if they have to filter through all those people tagging them, it's a lot. Yeah.
Just the internet and the pressure that fans put on celebrities is ridiculous. Like, that I was obsessed with the graphic novels, and then Netflix made a show of it, of Heartstopper, which if you haven't watched it, it's fucking adorable, and it just feels so good to like watch it, and it's like beautiful queer representation, and I just feel like everyone should watch it and love it. But either way, like fans were harassing one of the actors in that, to the point where like they left social media, and the kid is only 18 years old. Like that's a kid. Yeah. Just harassing in like all different ages, and it was just like constantly coming up, like trending, because like stuff comes up similar to like what you like or whatever. And I followed like the author of the graphic novels, and they wrote the show, and like Netflix or whatever. So it was just coming up constantly, and like to the point where they outed this poor kid. Like, that's horrible. Like, how can you call yourself a fan when that's the way that you're interacting with somebody?
That's bullying.
Yeah, plain and simple. It's absolutely disgusting, in my opinion, and like in my feelings, that that's how people think it's okay to interact with people that they don't know in ways and like situations like that.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah. And I don't know, it just makes me feel disgusted. Yeah. That's why I'm like, you have to learn where to draw the lines. Like, these are people outside of characters, or outside of a baseball team, or you know what I mean?
So I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, that stalking people is not okay. And I don't know how paparazzi are able to have jobs, or how it's legal to be paparazzi, because literally all they are doing is stalking people and taking pictures. And if a regular person did it who didn't have like a journalism pass or a paparazzi pass or whatever, we would get arrested. So
and it would be just as wrong.
Right. So I know that at one point when Jenna Marbles, again, she was renting a house, someone brought their little girl who was a fan of Jenna to her house to get something signed and get a picture taken.
That's so inappropriate. How the hell did they just looked up her house? Like her address?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find addresses out here for some reason. Like a lot of famous people, their addresses are just wide open, like wide out in the open. I don't know why. And I don't know why it's so hard to hide it. Cause I know like if you go on MapQuest or whatever, you can not MapQuest. What's it called? This isn't 2001. Google Street View. A lot of houses are blurred out because people asked Google to blur them out so that people couldn't see what their house looked like. It makes it kind of obvious that it's probably a celebrity's house,
Yeah.
but at least then you can't see what it looks like or the like number on the house. Another person on TikTok, this is actually almost creepier to me. Someone was stalking her at her job because they took TikToks that she took outside of her work and pieced together where her work was located based on her TikToks. Like by looking at surrounding streets and what alleys looked like and all this stuff, like they found her job location because of that. Which I get it, we should all be careful, but don't blame the victim, blame the person who's creepily stalking someone.
That's stalking.
100%.
Like, did the TikToker say, hey, come to my work and see me? Or, hey, if you want to get whatever she does for work, like, do you want this service? Come here.
She did in a way, like for her local fans, because she was running like a tie-dye business that doesn't make any money. It's really just so people can like come hang out and stuff. But this person was being so creepy. Like they found her outside of a restaurant and were just standing there and staring at her. They would walk past her business without going in. So it wasn't even the fact that this person used random locations to find her business. That was one thing. But the fact that this person wouldn't even come up to her and say hello or ask for a picture, she was just watching her from a distance.
That is just straight up stalking.
Yeah, it's one thing if you like ran into her at the restaurant, like you were going in, she was coming out, that's one thing. But this person wasn't even going to that restaurant. They knew she was there because she posted another TikTok, which most people do wait until after they leave a place to post a social media post, which is the safest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can't blame her for wanting to upload something that she just took video of. Like that's the world we live in. And she shouldn't have to worry about people coming to that restaurant after she does that.
Yeah, and it's not, like you said, that's victim blaming.
Yeah, it's not an open invite for you to come stalk her.
Yeah. So if you're the type of person who is doing that, or you're seeing that a celebrity that you like is at a certain location and you're showing up there, that's wrong, and you should not be doing that.
Yeah.
That goes back to like you going to that event. Like it was a posted event that said, hey, this is an event that I'm doing, come out and support us, blah 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 blah. And you went there, and then like people you're fans of happened to be there. Right. But had they said they were there and then you just showed up and there was an event going on, that would have been wrong.
Yeah, it was an open invite by the people who were running the event. Anyone can come, stop by. They didn't say who was going to be there. And like I said, most people don't post where they're at until after the fact, which Rhett and Link did not post anything until after the fact. Yeah. So it's not like anybody knew they were there.
That just like so creeps me out to like, you know, like when you used to always go somewhere and you would like check in, like, oh, I'm at such and such event, like, or such and such place. I'm like,
Foursquare.
Yeah, like that, like
we were just telling everybody where we are at all times. Yeah, that was very creepy, and I'm kind of glad that died off.
Yeah, I did used to check in at Hooters because you would get free fried pickles if you checked in at Hooters on Foursquare, and they do have good fried pickles. I used to do that.
I would always check in at like all the places that were around my houses and stuff because it would give you like more stuff the more places you checked into, and I thought that was fun. It's like I live right in the middle of everything.
Oh. Yeah.
Got 'em.
I don't have that problem or that benefit, I guess. But
no one uses Foursquare anymore anyway. It's okay.
Do you have and any other instances or circumstances?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, yeah, so again, give us your feedback. Let us know if you agree with this. If you don't agree, we kind of want to know why. If you have any inappropriate fan interaction stories, hit us up with those. We'd like to hear them. But we will be back next week with another lighthearted, more humorous, get back into the swing of our old talking out our ass ways.
All right,
And
Charles.
what? A swing? Did I say swing?
Yeah.
um,
Oh, one last
I don't
point
even remember what I
also.
said.
Being in fandoms, like not regarding celebrities, but other people in the same fandom, just can you all just be nice to each other?
Yeah, that too.
Because
You don't have
there's
a
so
common
much
interest.
negativity.
Stop being dicks.
And I mean, I know when like I said in the last episode, I know when I was a teenager, I was kind of a creep and kind of a dick. And in the past, I have done some of these things.
Mm.
And I don't feel good about it. And now I harbor all that guilt. And that's why I felt like such a shit last week when I did what I did. But
you learned from your mistakes.
I did learn from my
as
mistakes.
a kid and
yeah.
a teen.
And I'm not doing those things today.
Yeah.
And I just encourage young people to just kind of give thoughts of what you're doing and how it affects other people.
Oh, I have a story also real fast too. Sorry. So I was at a Frankie Ballard concert once, which is a country singer, in case you don't know. Listeners, I'm sure you don't know, but so the listeners, and I had like the VIP passes. So like we were in the front section. It was a small concert. It was like at a festival type thing. And so we had like these VIP passes. So we're in the very front, like at the barricade, But then when it was over, it was me, my dad, his girlfriend, and their friend. So when it was over, we were going to leave, and then their friend was like, "Oh, well, we have these passes, so let's see if we can meet him." And I'm like, "Well, the passes don't let us meet him." So she's like, "Well, like the trailers for the people are in the back because like we were working at that event, but we didn't have passes to like meet him or anything. We had the VIP passes because we were employees at the event. So like that's what we got was the front row or whatever."
Right.
So we're going to leave. And then she asked like the security guy, she's like, "Hey, is there any way like we can meet Frankie or get an autograph or something?" And the guy was like, "No, sorry, he already went to the trailer. We have to get going or whatever." So then she went to the back and she like knocked on the door of the trailer. And I'm like, dude, that's not cool. And
that's
then,
like knocking on the door of their house.
Yeah. And then like a different security guy opened it. She's like, "Hey, could you get these signed for us since he won't come out here?" And the security guy was like, "Yeah, no problem." Took him in, got him signed, and came back out. But I'm like, that wasn't okay. Like I didn't go over to the trailer with her. But I'm like,
the balls on that
the security
person. Like,
already
what?
said, "No, don't go up to the freaking trailer and knock on it." Just because we were employees at the event, we weren't employees for the concert. We didn't have any right to be back there. So yeah, that I was like, that was not cool, and it made me really uncomfortable to like be at the event with them, like to have somebody I was with do that, because I was like, that's not appropriate. But I've been to other concerts where I've gone and you had like, you can get in the line and you can meet them, get an autograph, take a picture, whatever. Even if you didn't have VIP, they did like for a limited time, you could go whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I just stood in the line and like said, "Hey, got something signed or whatever," like met him. I'm like, it was fine. But I'm like, I don't think it's appropriate to like that. Oops, I hit my computer. Like they had a setting where we could go meet them. Like in this setting, there was not. She just went out of her way and did it. And that was kind of creepy. But yeah, I don't know, inappropriate.
Yeah, it's one thing because I know a lot of people after concerts, they'll like wait by the bus because they said, oh, they're going to come out and say hi, or you just want to watch them walk to the bus, which is whatever.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of anyone like really caring about that. But once they get on the bus, don't go knock on the door. That's weird.
Yeah. Like for the Lightning, like at the Amalie Arena for Tampa Bay Lightning, you can go around to the back and there's an area where you can stand. It's where they come out, but it's not at the door. There's like an area on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's usually like blocked off.
Yeah, you're allowed to stand there. There's one security person, and like when they come out to leave, they can choose if they want to stop and sign an autograph or something. Otherwise, you can just see them get on the bus and leave. But like, you're not going up to that door and knocking. You're not following them to their cars and stuff. Like, that's so inappropriate. You just stand there
Yeah.
in the delegated area where you're allowed to, and like, that's fine if you want to meet them like
And it
that.
gives them the choice if they want to interact or not.
Right. And like, even if you know people who know celebrities or stuff like that, like giving out personal information and stuff like that, it's so inappropriate. Like, I think I've told you this story before, but I don't think we put it in the episode. So like, when my sister was in college, a guy who is now a famous country singer used to date one of her roommates at Florida State, and he would stay at their house sometimes. But like, she doesn't go around telling everybody, hey, I knew so and so, and here's information about him, and this and that and the other, because that's inappropriate. Like, she knew him as a person, not as this artist. And I feel like some people don't know those boundaries. And like, I don't know if it's just because like where we live or what. So we, like, people we know through people or whatever. So the same thing, like a famous boy band member, one of their sisters was at my sister's wedding because, again, they worked together because of where we live. But same thing, she wasn't like, hey, so and so, why don't you call up your brother and tell him to come to my wedding, and like all these things, because it's like, she was friends with her, not with her brother who's famous. And then like, when she came to Easter dinner one year and she was talking to one of her two famous brothers on the phone, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna call so and so, do you guys want to talk to him? And like, so like, some of the people that were at our Easter dinner, because we had like some family and friends there, like they all went outside and like she put them on speakerphone and they were talking, whatever. But I'm like, I don't feel like that was for her to decide to let fans talk to him. I kind of feel like it should have been like, hey, brother, I'm here with some people who are kind of fans of yours. Like, would you be okay with me putting you on speakerphone for them to talk to you?
Sounded like Hulk Hogan. Hey, brother.
I'm saying brother because I'm not trying to name drop.
I know, that was funny though.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
brother.
it's like, I feel like that would have been more appropriate than her just calling him and being like, hey, you're on speakerphone with people who want to talk to you because they're fans, not because they're related and just want to say happy Easter or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, like, you have to find the line with the boundaries, because like, I don't feel like it's your place to decide what a celebrity should or shouldn't do.
And a lot of them
them.
don't want to be rude because they are fans. Like, they don't want to be mean to people just because they're not mean people. So it's like, you either have to walk that fine line between being an asshole, a supposed asshole, or being overly nice and letting people take advantage of you.
Yeah.
So you say one wrong thing and all of a sudden everyone hates you because, oh, you wouldn't take a picture with me, or, oh, you said this. And it's a very fine line they have to walk. So they're already dealing with that on a constant basis, and you don't have to add to that.
And it's putting a huge struggle and strain on their mental health, which is just not right. Like, it is up to you as the fan or the consumer to know the boundary. It's not up to them as a celebrity to have to put that boundary up and say, hey, I'm just a person. Like, you need to lay off. So that's my perspective on the whole thing. One of the people that I was just speaking about has since passed away, so just like, rest in peace to him. It's a pretty sad situation, and mental health had a lot to do with it. So that's kind of triggering in that aspect. Like, keep that in mind. Like, you just treat people better and don't be creepy.
Yeah, and people behind screens are also people too.
Yeah. And if you are fans, because we have listeners, and remember last week I decided you guys are fans, not listeners, and you were to ever see us out in public, don't know how you would, but if you did, like, talk to us, don't be creepy. Hit us up.
Say hi.
Yeah.
Or don't, I don't care.
So we'll be back next week, and then we've got a few more weeks before break, right?
Yeah, we'll be having a break the 21st and 28th of December. So our last episode of this season will be the 14th, and then we will see you after the new year.
All right.
But we'll also see you next week.
Yeah, next week too. All right. Well, see you then.
Bye.